great saint and martyr of the church, George, which is world known, not only through Orthodoxy and all other Christian denominations, honor George as one of the great saints of all Christianity, with Demetrius and Stephen and many of the other great saints, and we celebrate him today. He's a martyr. And what is a martyr? A martyr, the word comes from witness. The Greek word is to witness something, to see and to again with a reverence. And George certainly was a martyr because he gave his blood for Christ. He gave his life for Christ. So many of the other saints, if we look, maybe I'd say 70% of the saints that we celebrate are probably martyrs, ones who gave their life for Christ. And they're all great, of course, but one of the most remembered is George. And why George again? George was great because he was a young man, he was very rich, he was a soldier, a very successful soldier. He had 1,000 under him as a commander from the Greek tradition. Other denominations have a different tradition of George, but we have him as being a great soldier. And Diocletian, which was the emperor, the king of the time, was proclaiming Christianity as a heresy. It was a heresy. You cannot be a Christian. Otherwise, Diocletian was not only taking jobs away from you or whatever, he was actually killing you. He was killing the Christian people. And George was a Christian. George was a Christian. He had a great life with all the honors, all the money that he could have. He came from a rich family. And when he heard Diocletian was killing Christians, what he did was he knew he was going to be a martyr, because he went to Diocletian and he told him. He said, "Why are you killing the people?" And Diocletian was highly offended, and he arrested George, and he went through terrible tortures. And one torture after the other, but by the grace of God, he was able to endure them to the very end. So George again gave himself as great because he had more to lose than anybody else. It wasn't an immediate thing, as the witness on the cross who says, "Lord, remember me in your kingdom." That's all it took. Lord, the witness to God, you are the Christ, you are the King. Remember me in your kingdom. He says, "You will be in my kingdom." He witnessed to him with a few words. But George went through all the tortures, he gave up all his life, all his wealth, whatever he had, and he gave that up. And not only George, by the way, I just mentioned that also Diocletian's wife, her name was Alexandra, and she saw and heard of George giving himself in such a way that she was so impressed. She was so taken in by Christianity, by the love of Christ, that Diocletian was going to put her to death also. We celebrated her name day 2 days ago, April 21st. And she became a Christian because she loved George and his witness to the Lord. And Diocletian put her to be beheaded, his wife, to be beheaded. And on her way to the execution, she asked to sit down, which they gave her permission to sit down, and she died. She died while she was sitting, so her head would not come off. So her head would not come off. She died before the execution of the king. The king. And the king was again very admired by more of the people, more afraid than admired, but he was admired, the people were afraid, and they were following the king. Sounds a little familiar to me. So these things don't end. These things don't end. They continue on throughout humanity until the very end. We will go to what we choose. Do we choose Christ, or do we choose anything other than Christ himself? So again, George the Great, the one who gave himself for the Lord, and you who are named George, your here, or your children, or your parents, God bless you all, especially on this day.